Good evening, guys. Good. Thanks. Okay, so IPv6 we were trying yesterday. We faced some issues related to routing that we will resolve first, and then we'll move toward the further routing details of IPv4 as well as IPv6. And if time permits, we will work on OSPF version 3 as well. Okay. So this is both OSPF, is like a Juniper router, but in our case, we kept one router as a Juniper router, the other router as a Cisco router, right, in our topology. So we have set the IP address on our GE001 interface as 2001 AB1 A:B:1 and ::1 I have set on GE001, whereas for GE000 I have set the IP address 2001 AB2, right? Then ::1 on the VMX router, and ::2 I have set on the other end is our Cisco router, right? So let me add this entry here on the label as well. So the reachability for the next stop should be there, right? And beyond this ISP, I have one more IP address that also I'll show you. First of all, I'll just check the connectivity. As we are in the configuration mode, we have to use a run command, right, for the IP address 2, right? And we will use rapid option to get a fast response of 5 packet ICMP packets, right? So we do have a connectivity from our VMX router to the ISP router. One student is facing sound problem. Other participants are also facing the sound problem, or it's only... I hope I'm audible. Ganesh, am I audible?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Thanks. Okay, so connectivity is there, and after that, I specifically in the routing configuration, what changes I did, let me show you. I'm using display set option, right, to show the configuration in a display set format, right? And we can see here specifically for the routing. So yesterday we made one mistake. Actually, additional rib configuration was there, and when we give INET, we have to give it specifically INET 6.0. So we were only giving INET 6, and that may be causing this issue. So now it is all good. And is it a normal static route or default static route? You can see this portion is IPv4 default static route, and this portion is 0::0. Correct, Ganesh. It's a default static route for IPv4 with the next of IP address. Okay. And in our ISP router, let me show you. I have created one loopback interface whose IPv4 address is 8.8.8.8. Akshay, this RIB and INET 6.0 is required because we are using a routing table of INET 6. We have different instances of routing table. For IPv4, we have a different table. I'm coming to that point in my slides. That time it will become more clear. So I'm showing you first this show IPv6 interface brief. So you can see here loopback interface we have, and here 2001 AB3 8.8.8.8.8, okay, is my IPv6 address of loopback 0. Okay, so let me copy this in the clipboard and I'll use in VMX router with the rapid option, and we get a reply back because this time our static route is working fine. Okay. Okay, so this static route is working now. Let's go through the theoretical discussion of routing and then we'll again come back. Here, when we look at the routing table, here we have this asterisk symbol against a particular route. Here we have a default route, right? And this asterisk symbol is there. What is the significance of this asterisk symbol? So here it is mentioned both. Both means it is a active route, right? And it is coming from a particular protocol. Like here, the protocol is static, so it is available in our routing table. If it is not active, the main thing is it should be active, right? If it is not active, then it's not going to work for us. OSPF we will see later on. Okay, first, we will complete few more topologies on our EMX routers, right? So I'll stop this and we will configure a little advanced topology with the VMX router. We'll do it from scratch. Routing lab. So we'll take VMX router, but how many interfaces we have? 6 Ethernet interface, that will be okay for us because we need a 4 interfaces connected with 4 Cisco routers. And let's connect them with 4 Cisco router using this 3725 router. Number of nodes 4, prefix R. So I'm keeping Juniper router as a central node, whereas this Cisco routers are like a spoke node. Uh, this is in the hub position, and these Cisco routers are in the spoke position. Let's connect them. E000. Let's turn them on. So Cisco router will boot up fast. The Juniper router will take few minutes to boot up. I'll take the console of all the routers. Okay. While the routers are booting up, meanwhile we will configure the networks. So this is a default class C network. Okay. And behind all these routers, we will put a loopback interfaces. For router 2, I'll take 2.2.2.2. For router 3, we will take 3.3.3.3. For router 4, we will take 4.4.4.4. And router 5, we will take 5.5.5.5. And there will be a loopback 1.1.1 in the VMX router. So VMX is still booting up. Meanwhile, we'll do the configuration on Cisco router. Let's access router 3 as well. This is router 4. This is router 5. Let's take router 2's access and okay. We can do this configuration and notepad also, because multiple router we have to configure in the similar way. We can do it with post router 2 interface loopback 0 1 dot 1 dot not 1 dot router 2 is 2 dot 2 dot 2 dot 2, right? Then interface commands will be IP address 255.0.0.0 interface F0/0 IP address. Everywhere we are using F00 interface, so we can keep it same. 192.168.20.2 255.255.0 no shutdown, right? And we can repeat this command for R3 3.3.3.3, right? Here only I have to change this to 30.2. Then we have R4 with the IP address 4.4.4.4, and the interface IP address is 40.2. Then we have R5 5.5.5.5. Okay. One more thing that we can set is a default route IP route 0.0.0.0 with the subnet mark 0.0.0.0 192.168.20.1. We can repeat this command. First of all, I'll set this command here. Then we'll repeat this command for 30.1 as you can notice here. So 30.2 is on this side, 30.1 on the VMX router side. Let me keep all these things in front of you. We have 40.1 here. We have 50.1 here. Are you following this configuration, guys? Now let's do the configuration for yes, these are static routes, but on the spoke routers, means these are Cisco routers. And later on, we'll do the static routes on the VMX router. Okay. Let's configure it on R3. Then we'll do the configuration on R4. And at last on R5. Done. So most of the configuration done on our Cisco routers. Now let's get back to the Juniper router. Now we have login. So this is amnesia. It means we don't have any configuration on this. Furthermore, there is no root password. I'm logging with the root account without any password. So what should be done at the initial stage of the Juniper router? First of all, we to make the changes, we should be in the configuration mode, right? We are in the configuration mode. Then we don't have a host name on this, right? So we have to set the host name. So what is the command to set the host name? Set where we are. Let's go to the top of the hierarchy. We are already on the top. Set system host name, right? And we can give any uh, name on this. So let's keep it VMX1 for the time being. That's one thing. What other thing is essential to set up this router? We can't leave the system without root password, right? So we have to set the password. What is the command? Set system root authentication, correct? And then at last plain text password. Let's keep it admin123 as a simple password. 123. Okay. Password mismatch. Admin123. Admin123. Okay. Okay. So far we have set the password and the host name. What other configuration is needed? That's done. What is the next step? Correct. We have to work on the interfaces. I'll do one thing. I'll just commit out first. This one. And then we'll go to the interfaces. Edit interfaces, right? And we will go to the specific interface. We are having GE000. So we can set GE. We'll do it from the top. Top set interfaces. Under interfaces GE0 0/0.0 family inet. We are setting IPv4 address, so family inet address. So 20.2 we have set on router 2. So 20.1 here /24. We will repeat this command for 1.0. 1.0 is connected 00 GE00 1.0 is connected with 30.1 IP address. And let's repeat the same command for router 4. Here it is connected with 2.0. And let's repeat it for 50.0. Right? Show, compare. So our IPs will be set. Show route. should show us the direct and local routes. Direct route is /24 and the local route is the specific IP address route 1/32, right? And if you see the preference here, the preference is 0. But for static route, the preference is different. Do you remember, guys, what is the preference? In Juniper, correct Ganesh, it is 5. In Juniper, we call it as a preference, and in Cisco world, we call it as a admin distance. Correct, AD value or admin distance. Right. So the next step that we have to set up here is our static routes, right? So for the static route, again, we have to go to the configuration mode. And to set the static route, where we should be, guys? Under routing options, right? Under routing option, we have to set static route, right? And we have loopback interfaces behind these routers. If we directly want to ping to individual routes, right, that we already have, like I can ping from 20.1 to 20.2, but I need 2.2.2.2 IP address, right? So let's set up that 2.2.2.2. It's we will keep it as /32, and then we have to specify next hop. The next hop will be 192.168.20.2, and same command we are going to repeat for 30.2 with the IP address 3.3.3.3. Same we will repeat for 40.2 with the IP address 4.4.4. Let's repeat it for 50.2 next hop, and the IP address is 5.5.5.5. Let's go and compare. These routes are going to be added now, right? Let's do commit check first. There's nothing wrong in this. It's fine. Now, if I exit, I should see these static routes available. You can see here. And every time the static route has a preference value of 5. Okay. Now, our central router or the hub router is aware of all the routes, and I hope our spoke routers can use this information as a default route toward VMX router. So let's get back to R2. We are on R2 now, and let's ping to 5.5.5.5 with the source. Source, we have to be in the enable mode. Ping 5.5.5.5 source 2.2.2.2. So we are able to ping. It means this VMX router is passing this transit traffic, exception traffic and transit traffic. So this is counted as what? Transit traffic. Yes, there is a concept of metric in a Juniper also, but it's represented differently. We'll see that, especially for the OSPF, we can see that. Okay, now we will implement 2001:A:20:/64 We will implement IPv6 now on this. We will keep it 30. We will keep 40. And here we will keep 50. Global routing prefix is 2001 AB, whereas subnet ID is 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay. Now let's implement this IP address first of all on the Cisco routers. So we'll go to route R2 first. Configuration mode, interface F0/0. We can do this in our notepad also. It's possible. Interface F0/0. IPv6 address 2001 AB20 : 2, okay, /64, and we will repeat this command for R3 as 30. We'll repeat this command for R4 is 40. Yes, Ganesh, we are going to do that as well. Let me first write down the script for this. So done with this, and we have, thanks for the reminder, we are going to do it for the loopback, interface loopback, and IPv6 address interface loopback 0, IPv6 address 2001 : A : B : here we have to take a different address. So let's take 200 : instead of : we'll take 2 : 2 : 2 : 2, which will exactly resemble the loopback addresses here. Here we will change this to 300. Let's change this to 3 : 3 : 3 : 3. 400. 4 : 4 : 4. At last, router 5. One second, guys. Okay, so most of the configuration done now. Let's implement it from You just have to copy paste it now. Okay, router 2 done. Let's take router 3. Let's configure router 4 now. Let's take router 5. In router 5, one configuration is remaining. This should be 5 colon 5 colon 5 colon 5. Okay, all the configurations done now. Let's do the configuration. Yes, Ganesh, that is also one more point I forgot to set up. Default route, IPv6 default route we have to set, right? So let's set up IPv6 default route. We will do it individually now. It's not a part of script then. IPv6 route colon colon slash 0, and we have to forward it to 1. And this is our next hop IP address. And let's repeat this for router 3 with little variation. Here only we have to change it to 30. Let's do it for router 4. 40. Router 5. Right. So we do have routes now, and we have to do a configuration on VMX router for the IPv6 route interfaces first. So let's go to the configuration, and we will set the IP addresses first here. Set interfaces GE000.0 INET, family INET 6 this time, then address, and the address will be 2001 colon A colon B colon 20 colon colon 1 slash 64. And we can repeat this command. We can repeat this command for 1.0, 30, the colon colon 1, because this interface is connected with router 3. So the next change that we have to do is 40 with 2.0, which is connected with a router 4. Then we have 50, which is connected with GE003. Let's compare this. We are adding these IP addresses now. Right? Let's commit. First of all, the direct and local routes will be visible. Interfaces will be visible. Show interface. So this shows our IPv6 addresses along with the link local addresses GE000, GE001, GE002, and GE003. Hopefully the routes also visible. Show route. So you can see the initially IPv4 routes are there, and afterward we do have INET 6 table, right? Which does contain our direct routes, local routes, right? Now, what is the next task that we have to do? Beside direct and local routes, we do need our static routes, right? So again, go into the configuration mode and let's set the routing option. Right? Under this, we have rib. So under routing option, we need rib, then INET 6.0, and then exact static routes that we have to set here. Then we need a static route, right? And here we are not setting a default route because we are in the hub position and we need a specific route for the loopback interfaces. So according to our topology, right, we have to set our static routes. So what is the static route in this case? 2001 colon A colon B colon 200, right? Because our network prefix is 200. Then second, let me adjust this. Correct. Ganesh has given this input. Let's correct here. So we can implement likewise 200 colon 2 colon 2 colon 2 colon 2, right? And this is slash 128 for specific route. You can count it as a host route, and then we have to specify next hop. So what is the next hop? 2001 colon A colon B colon 20, and then colon 2, because 2 we kept on the R2Z. Now we will repeat this command with 30.2 for router 3's loopback, and the changes will be like this: 3 colon 3 colon 3 colon 3. Furthermore, we kept the subnet ID 300. Let's repeat this for 40 400 colon 4 colon 4 colon 4 colon 4. And let's do it last with 50 colon 2, and here it will be 500 colon 5 colon 5 colon 5 colon 5. Okay, show compare. So we can see these additional roots will be added. If we analyze nothing wrong in this, so hopefully commit check will not give any error, right? And now we can commit this. Exit. Let's check the routing table one more time. This time static routes on IPv6 should also be visible, right? And hopefully we can ping from, let's ping to this from router 2. Let's check. Source loop back 0. Okay. So our connectivity from the VMX router via VMX router is all good. Okay. Let's have a discussion on the theoretical aspects. So we are using forwarding table. That's all. In short, we call it as FT, which is coming from the routing table. Right? And this copy of routing table initially populated from protocols database, routing protocol database, and some other sources like direct and static. This get built up in the routing engine, and from there the forwarding tables copy is given to the packet forwarding engine, PFE. You know, there are two components in the JuneOS, the routing engine as a control plane and forwarding engine as a data plane. And we have these different routing table, INET 0 and INET 6.0. These are the main one. Beside this, we have INET.1, which is used for multicast, and there are a few others as well. Preferences also, we know static, we practically observe it is 5 default preference, and direct and local is 0. OSPF next we are going to observe, that's around 10. Right? RIP and OSPF external and BGP we are not going to use, but they are having a higher AD value or a higher preferences. As I discussed, forwarding table is populated from the routing table, and this copy of forwarding table is given to the packet forwarding engine. How we can find out the forwarding table? Show route forwarding table is a command. So you can see here, it gives more detailed information. The most important one is like exit interface is also noticed here, right? And this is a this what type of route it is. So it's a like a user generated routes, or it's a permanent route that, or interface based route, right? So all these things are mentioned here. Is it a unicast or it's a broadcast? So you can see here, this one is a broadcast multicast, right? And this one is a broadcast. This is a local entry. This one got resolved from the other entries. So the forwarding table is a more detailed information. We can have a routing instances. We'll see if time permits, we'll work on routing instances. If you want to check, by default only master routing instance is there, but we can create a customized routing instance also, which is used in VRF, virtual routing and forwarding. So the command is show route instance. So the one which we are using is a master routing instance. There is a concept of reject static route and discard static route that we will see in a Monday session. Okay. Guys, you know anything about the null routes in IPv4? In the Cisco router, we have a null routes. Similar type of concept we have here the in the Juniper router with the reject and discard off. Right? So we'll do that practically later on in our upcoming session. So yes, Ganesh, we can use it to avoid loop, and it can also be used to drop the packets if we have any kind of DOS kind of attack or any specific attacks are happening. We can utilize null routes to drop the traffic. Okay. Okay, so let's stop our session here, and rest of the points we'll cover in the upcoming session.